Should the sport have been a little bit more proactive in terms of managing technology?
It's hard for me to say that I would think that's the case. I mean, what you're seeing now is, I think, I remember the day and age when they're talking about, is a serve too big? Is it killing tennis? We had, only 6 4-ball rallies in the finals of Wimbledon. It's like, where's that gone? And I tell you where it's gone. It's gone into the athlete. It's gone into the adjustments that are made by these athletes. And part of that is attributed to the spin and to the margin and to the quality of the courts and to the balls and lots of things. But we're seeing 54-ball rallies at the U.S. Open, not because it's a different game. It's because you got just a whole different set of player out there.
Has it overcompensated too much?
I don't think so, because it's better. The court has gotten different. The rules of engagement has changed. I mean, it used to be where they would tell you, keep the ball low and somebody couldn't hurt you. And then a person like myself might have stepped in the game and said, I like it when you hit that ball low, and I'm going to hurt you with that. So now that rule of engagement's changed. Then you got a guy like Rafter or Pete who just serve volley, serve volley, serve volley, and it's like, well, the serve's getting too big, and then all of a sudden, the game changes into something else. Now you can't just serve volley. I mean, you're sort of a sitting duck because people have made those adjustments. So I think it's a function of athletes pushing each other. Like every sport, it gets better and better and better.
What about your most disappointing or your lowest point?
Your real lowest points happen in the quietest of moments. Your real low points happen when only you know that you just quit. And it might take a year or two for the rest of the world to figure it out, but you knew when you quit, and that was not an easy time for me. I had gotten to #1 in the world, which my dad has introduced me since I was 7 years old as a future #1 player in the world. I had this illusion that being #1 was going to give me some sense of purpose and some sense of connection and some sense of satisfaction. And when I did, in fact, I felt nothing. So as a result, I was very disillusioned with it. I spent the summer of '95 being that #1 player and playing the role. Won every single tournament over the summer and ended up losing in the finals of the U.S. Open to Pete. I was 26-1, and I felt like a failure, And I just remember saying to myself, what is this about? And do I really want it? Because the truth is, how can you do what I've just done and actually feel the way I feel? And I quit. It was a long, slow, painful, perfectionist, tortured soul spiral, but I did that well too. I failed over and over again for the next 2 years on a lot of fronts to end up probably what would appear to be the lowest point, but I think the lowest point was when I gave up on myself.
You mentioned being introduced as a future #1. Did that poignant video, the Allen King Classic, and all those matches where you're playing with great champions at a young age with the racket, I mean, it's very palpable and tangible in people's memory. How unfair was that to you, and how did you deal with that and manage that space where you were the prodigy to actually accomplishing it?
Well, how do you succeed at something that you're not sure you even like or you even think you hate? I mean, I think fear is one hell of a motivator. First of all, you do it in the beginning because it's what you think you were born to do. You don't realize that you weren't born to be a tennis player, you were made to be one, but you were born to do it, so you're sort of convinced of that out of the blocks, and then you get to that age where you start to ask questions and you start to rebel, and then you just simply resent it, and then you get to the stage where the only way out is to succeed, and so you succeed and you start to go, well wait a second, I don't even have an option, so that's what forces you into that next phase, and then and then fear, what if I can't? So I'm experiencing all the byproducts of success, right? I'm taking care of my family, and my life's improving all at the same time. I'm tortured by what it is I do, and I'm disconnected with it, so you force yourself through it because there are some wins along the way, but at the end of the day, you find yourself just going, my God, do I really need to do this? Do I really want to do it? And so I think fear is a great motivator. And when I give myself the permission to finally say I don't have to do it, I can choose to quit, I can choose to walk away. I did the same thing that I did my whole life, which I said, well, what if I now rebel against that? And what if now I sort of say, maybe I can choose it for me. Maybe I can find my reason for doing it. And I set about trying to figure that out, and I did. I found my reason, and I refused to quit. And that was probably my proudest moment, which would appear to be my lowest. Sitting in a hotel room with my coach, Brad, telling me, you need to quit and walk away, or we need to really start over again. I had never been so disgusted with myself in my entire life. I was 140 in the world, had to take a wild card to play in Stuttgart, to lose first round to Todd Martin, who treated me like I deserved, you know, which is in 48 minutes. And there I was in Stuttgart just going, you know, I have never been so disgusted with myself or this environment, or I don't want this anymore. And I gave myself that permission. And after I did that, I said, let's figure out a way to maybe do it differently. I had a bit of an epiphany that's still playing out in my life.